Right. We are doing it. Episode one of, I guess we're calling this the Relentless Pursuit podcast, right? We haven't talked about podcasts. This is primarily going up on YouTube. Maybe we should have figured out this was actually going to be a podcast. But welcome to the Relentless Pursuit podcast on YouTube. We're going to figure that out later. I am Ian, got my buddy John here with me, and we together run the Relentless Pursuit group and ministry. And so we just wanted to take this time to really introduce ourselves, kind of do a deeper dive into who we are, where we came from, what God has brought us through, what kind of set the tone for the creation of Relentless Pursuit, why we felt the need for it, and kind of all that jazz, right? So this is going to be us taking our time, really kind of getting into it a little bit, really just being transparent and open with you guys with everything. We're going to start at the very beginning, and we'll see where this takes us. So, Relentless Pursuit, what in a nutshell, and what this podcast is, what this YouTube channel is for, what the group is for. Overall, it's for men who want to, who feel called for more, right? Who are just tired of drifting through life, who are tired of just feeling stagnant or feel like they're missing something. Like, I know there's got to be more out of this. I know I'm called for more, but I just feel stuck. I feel overwhelmed. Men who want more faith and discipline in their lives, right? They know they need it. Maybe they don't even really know where to get it or anything like that. So that's just the overview of what you're getting yourself into, right? This isn't for men who want to play the victim, who want to jump on and be like, well, my situations, my circumstances. No, this isn't for comfort seekers or looking for validation in your own sinful nature. We're not passive Christian men in this group. It's very, I hate to say it in your face, John, you can correct me, but like, it's just very blunt, very, hey, we're going to call it like we see it, just like we do with each other. Um, and we're going to reference the Bible back to, what the word says is and isn't true, is and isn't right. Whenever our own human factors and feelings get in the way and start trying to interpret what the Bible says outside of, the main message of the Bible, then it just gets messy. And honestly, as long as it doesn't take away from the story of God's love and the fact he sent his son down to die for us on the cross, and Jesus is the only way to salvation, it doesn't really matter. So we don't get wrapped up in all that, but we do push you, we do challenge you, we encourage all men to step up and lead in all areas. But I'm getting ahead of myself. We're going to dive deep down into that in a little bit in a little section. But yeah, so we're going to open up just kind of with our own stories. We're going to let God kind of run the show here as much as we want to talk and open up about our past, our story, kind of how it all came to be. We're going to, just so you know, just so we get to know each other better, just so you know us and we know you, and you know who you're talking to, you know who's talking to you, you know who you're signing up with, all that good stuff. So I'm going to give it to John first and to share his story, since he is the brainchild behind Relentless Pursuit.
Um, yeah, we're on podcast, YouTube. Yeah, we're gonna figure out where this thing goes. I'll probably download the audio and throw it up as a podcast episode too. Who knows where this thing's gonna go? But like Ian said, we wanted to really bring this to you guys in different avenues and let you guys sort of see just who we are and give some background on this thing, like where this all came from. Because honestly, you can find a ton of communities all over the place. You can find a ton of ministries, men's groups all over the place. So this is really about, what sets us apart, what makes us different, what are the things that Relentless Pursuit is really all about. And, I think you touched on it really well. And one of the things I think that we really focus on here is the root. A lot of what we do goes back to the root. And that's like the root of our physical health. That could be the root of our emotional well-being. All of it, though, comes back to the root of our spiritual health, which is our root and anchor in Christ. If we are not anchored and rooted in Christ and relentlessly pursuing him in all aspects of our life, guys, we're not going to grow. We're not going to be able to become the leaders that God's called us to be. That's really what it is. And that's really a lot of the brain of what prompted the Relentless Pursuit to come up, is that there's a lot of ministries out there that are all flash. They're all like a lot of sparks. Think of it like fireworks, right? They're there for a moment, but they're just fizzle out. Because they're all about the flash. They're more like a bandage. They're just like, they're not really addressing the root things that men really need to get at. That's just really it. And this whole thing started, honestly, this thing probably started 6 years ago when I first discovered that, you know what? I need a brotherhood in my life. I was at a place in my life where I was happily married. I had a couple kids. Life on the surface seemed great, but I had this gigantic hole that I didn't even know I had. And it was, I just didn't have any other Christian brothers around. I live in a small town in rural Vermont, where, as Ian will tell you, because I tell him all the time, I am outnumbered by cows than people. I am outnumbered by trees. And, trying to find other dudes, particularly around my age, that are not already in their senior living centers is difficult. So it took me, like, I don't know, about 6 years ago to realize, like, I really need brothers in my life. I really do. And they just weren't local. So I sought out some online, digital, joined a couple ministries I thought were amazing. They are. They are truly amazing gifts. And they're what led to Ian and I crossing paths, along with some other really dear brothers who honestly are going to carry the casket the day that I die. And they're guys that are not local. They're guys that are all over the country. But it was this initial just hit, like, hole in my heart that I need accountability. I need other brothers in life that I could go to, that I could turn to, that I could be vulnerable with, all these things. And I was just missing it. I was just missing it, you guys. And honestly, the more I talk to guys nowadays, the more normal that problem really seems. I thought at first it was just something that I struggled with, but in reality, it's a struggle that a lot of men deal with, but it's also a struggle that not a lot of men will openly say that they need. Because we don't like to say we need help. We don't like to say that we need other men in our lives. Like, no, I got a wife, I got a job, I got my kids, like, I don't need anything else. It's like, no, actually you do. And that's just us putting up those walls. So it was this hole in the heart that originally I had, and it finally God placed on my heart, like, you need other guys. So I became aware of the thing, and that just led me to that decision. And now here we are 6 years later, where I have so many solid connections with so many brothers all over the globe. I mean, not just in America, not just in Vermont. I'm talking all over the U.S. I'm talking guys that are in South America. I talk about guys that live in Asia and now even in the Middle East. I mean, they are guys every single place. And honestly, they have helped me become a better husband, a better father, a better just man of God. Because I get to see them and pace life with them and do all these things that I never got to do before. And so the Relentless Pursuit is really about giving men that community, giving men that brotherhood that we may not know that we need, but in also the same way, helping them address those root things in our life so that they can be the leaders that they were called to be. So that's just a little about me, but I'm going to kick it back over to Ian to give us a little bit of his story, his background, about sort of how this all got started for him.
Yeah. Do you want to tell people about your own personal history, like what you do, where you come from, stuff like that?
Sure. I mean, so let's see. I'll try and make this short, because this can go on for a while.
Yeah.
I was the product of a divorce household early on. My dad left the picture when I was 5, so I was raised by a single mom. So, fatherhood has always been something big on my mind because I've always wanted to be something bigger than what I had. So enough of that piece, though. I am also an educator. I could go on that for hours. There's an amazing testimony behind that. There's amazing testimony, but behind how my dad and I, after 25 years, had reconciliation. And now he's an amazing part of my life and my kids' lives. And it's great because it is, like, truly something only God can do. But I'm also
gotta join to hear more about it.
I know. That's it. You got to join to hear more about that one. That's a great story. But that one I could be on here for hours on, and we don't want to do that tonight. Also a husband. I've been married to my high school sweetheart. We've been married for, it'll be 13 years this summer. Had to do the math real quick. 13 to 26. How that works. Yeah. So we've been together a little over 20 years, but we've been married a little over 12 and a half years. So praise God on that. That is something that I told myself I was going to do, is I was going to marry a wife and I was not going to get divorced. So far, so good. That's the goal. I'm a father of 2 incredible kids. I got a son who is 9.5, acts like he's 14, but he's 9.5. We got to remind him of that every day. And then a daughter who is 7.5. And if you were there tonight at her winter concert, not spring yet, I wish it was spring. Yeah. Winter concert. Let's just say after it was over, everybody in the gym said, "Well, I heard your daughter." I said, yes, you did. She's got pipes like her grandfather. Her dad is her grandfather is the lead in our church choir. Let's just say baby girl's got the pipes like he does. So
that's funny.
Father of 2 amazing kids. Like I said, I'm an educator by trade. So I've been working in health and physical education, athletic administration for the last 13 years in a high school setting. So I get to deal with teenagers all day, raging hormones, all that fun. And now I coach. Now I coach guys. not just coach sports. I've been doing that forever, but I also coach men too, because that's kind of like the whole thing about Relentless Pursuit. So hope that covers some of it, Ian.
That's it.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's
now I'll go
it.
back to.
Awesome. And that is John. Yeah. So my story actually starts off kind of the same actually. I'm also from a divorced household. From a divorced household? Come from a divorce, however that's said. My parents split a little bit later than five. I think I was somewhere between 8 and 10. I don't really remember where. I think I was about 9 going on 10. Is when my dad left to pursue his lifestyle. Yeah, more on that inside the group. But so anyway, that definitely started for me a spiral downwards. Not dealing with a whole lot of anger, a whole lot of people pleasing that I carried with me well into my young adult years, caused me to get into a lot of trouble. Let me just say that caused me to damage and ruin and lose a lot of friendships between my anger that I ended up having to go to counseling for several years, some pretty intensive counseling, and also just the feeling of having to fit in with everyone. So there was that, chameleon syndrome where I was never really myself, right? I was whoever I needed to be to fit in with the crowd I was at in the moment. So you can imagine just the kind of mental, spiritual roadblocks there. My mom did her absolute best. God bless her. She was raising 3 boys on her own. I'm the oldest of 3, and that she was working multiple jobs trying to keep us, afloat for the first couple of years. And it was really hard growing up without any real male leadership or male guide or male authority figure in my life to really teach me, share with me, point me in the right direction to go. I was out there figuring it all out for myself. And again, this is the abridged version for sure. Ended up real, still holding on. I grew up in a church, grew up in a pretty um pretty firm church that we ended up leaving. I still had my faith going into my, adult teenage years, but I walked away from my faith as far as the fact of, hey God, I still believe in you. I know you're there, but I got this. I'm gonna take over my own life now and do what I want to do. So it led to a lot of promiscuity, everything that comes along with that, a lot of broken relationships that way. Like John, I also always maybe it's obviously now I can see that it was more of a God calling. Back then I thought it was just more of a I don't want to be like my dad calling. And maybe it's still a little bit of both. But my intention was, hey, I want to grow up, I want to have a family, and I want to be the best husband and dad I can possibly be. Can't do that when you are as damaged as I am, by the way, just FYI, and bring all that baggage into your relationships without any help whatsoever. So I was actually married before for a very short time, and we ended up getting divorced, which I'm not proud of, but also it was a great learning experience for me. Right off of that, I met my now wife. We had been together. This will be our 11th year. We have 2 beautiful kids, one 10-year-old son going on 18, as John knows, who is actually in the room with me right now. He loves being a part of this stuff and just seeing what we do and everything. And I'm glad he wants to partake in it. And then I'm sure you'll hear my baby girl in the background screaming because she can't be a part of it. She's 19 months old now, excuse me, and a little diva and sassy pants as ever, but love him to death. We really walked through it. So we've been married 11 years. I would say for the first 2 to 3 at least, it was really rough. Basically anything that the enemy could have thrown at us to break us apart, he threw at us, and we walked through. We didn't necessarily walk through it together. There was a period where we actually were separated for a month or so during our marriage, but thankfully, God used that to actually bring me to my knees, where I was actually causing a lot of the friction, a lot of the issues with my own pride, baggage, stuff like that. So he brought us back together, and we've been working on it ever since. Right around that time, I also was like, all right, well then, if I'm gonna get my life back on track, I need something. I can't do this by myself. I'm not. I really honestly don't even know what to do besides just go to church. So my brother actually had found this men's group online, recommended it to me. I dove in head first into it, absolutely loved it. They had a challenge coming up where some of the leaders just randomly paired up 5 dudes to go through the challenge together. John and I were a couple of those 5 that were paired up together. It was me, John, and the brothers he was talking about from different states and across the U.S. We got paired up. We walked through the challenge together. It was a spiritual and physical challenge. I forget for how long, but and we've done life every day together since. And it's been what, 4 years, John? 4.5 years? 4.5 years going. So yeah, and just over that time, I work as a firefighter paramedic out here in Orange County, Florida. Been doing that for the past 17 or 18 years. Proud of the profession, extremely proud to be a husband, father, and strive every day to be the best one I can. But really, just the way the world was going and seeing a lot of things lacking when it came to Christian men, I started feeling a very deep calling in the pit of my stomach to be like, okay, you've been through a lot of life for your 36 years. You see this, you see men struggling around you. You see the Christian man, for lack of a better term, failing, being passive, being weak, being quiet in the face of evil. And I have given you a stirring, a heart to change that, to call that out in men and to help men get back into, you know, David in David versus Goliath mode, where he's like, what are you talking about? You're wrong. My God's awesome. You're going to lose. Let's do this, type mentality. So I had started actually doing my own kind of feelers out. I don't want to call it ministry right off the bat, but kind of guys group. John and I work together in the health and wellness field for the past couple of years now, and we're building a business together on that way. And eventually he had just come to me and was like, we're both doing the exact same thing. We both have the exact same calling with the same mission and heart for men to see them really rise up in this day and age. Why don't we just combine and do it together? And Relentless Pursuit is such a baller name anyway. I was like, yes, please, I will do that. So me on, and God has really been working in this group ever since, and it's been a blessing and it's been fun. And I can't wait for you guys to hear more of the heart behind it and get involved and see where else God takes us. Because in the short few months that it's been active and actually rolling, it's been crazy. Um, so I guess that brings us to why Relentless Pursuit. What did John and I see? John, especially since he was the one who initially started the group, what we saw in the world around us, the state of the Christian man today that really burned inside us, deep inside our hearts, to make us go, this isn't right. This isn't what it's supposed to be. And here's how we can help do that. And I guess I'll let John start that off.
Yeah, I was talking about just who he is and what kind of brought him to the place where he is today. You look around today at the state of man, and honestly, if you were to label what a man is today, it would be vastly different than what you would label a man as 50 years ago, 100 years ago, and then even dating back to the time of the Bible, right? Back when you read these stories. Just it's not necessarily that men have changed. It's that we've let society change us. We've allowed what's in society, these quote norms nowadays, to dictate who we are as men. And who we are now is we are passive. We are men who would prefer to sit in the stands cheering on our team than being on the field and actually doing the work. I mean, for lack of a better term, that's pretty much what it is. There's a reason why they call it the couch to 5K. It's because nowadays men would prefer to be on the couch than running outdoors and actually like working on their physical physique or whatever it is. Men are overstimulated. We have information coming in from all over the places. We work long hours. We do this and that. We're overstimulated. We are honestly undisciplined. The number of men, because like Ian said, we work in health and wellness. I work as a personal trainer with some people. The number of people that I see whose common thing is, well, I started working out Monday and I gave up by Thursday. Well, it's not because you failed, it's just because you're undisciplined. And that's like the state of man nowadays, is that we have a hard time with staying disciplined on things. Spiritually, we're honestly we're underfed. We view church as a check the box type thing. Good idea of interacting at church or being sociable is talking to another person saying, hey, how's it going? How's your week? Them saying good and you saying, sweet, I'll talk to you next week. That's the state of man right now.
Those super people.
You
Yeah.
know, we have become a society that shoots for the bottom bar.
Mm.
Wherever that bar is, that minimum standard that society expects, we look to go just a sliver over it. And that's that's not just men. That's everybody. I work with teenagers all day long. Their number one thing they ask me is, "What do I got to do to pass?" Not what do I got to do to make honor roll. Not what do I got to do to make the principals list. Just what do I got to do to pass? And it's like that's the thinking that our future generations are doing. And guess what? That means they're getting it from the current ones. That's really what it is. It drives me crazy sometimes. But you think about how that relates into like our spiritual health. If the idea is by spending time with God, praying at dinner and before bed, and that's all we leave it to, cool. We're hitting quote the standard, the basics, the baseline, and that's where we hang our hat and say, cool. You know, we're not being fed spiritually. We're isolating ourselves. We talked about that a lot. Are not sociable creatures. We are not going out of our way to seek friendships and brotherhood and authenticity. We're afraid to be vulnerable. It's honestly this comfort culture that we've become a part of. Men
Yeah.
today are truly seeking comfort over anything else. We want that easy button. We want all these things. And this is the society, unfortunately, that we live in today. We see it all over the place. And it drives us crazy because, you know, if this is the way we're going to act and this is the way we're going to be, if we're going to talk about legacy. A lot of you ever come into our community, you're going to see we talk a lot about legacy. I got a great brother, Sean, who brought a great message on this last night. Regardless of who you are as a man, you're leaving a legacy whether you like it or not. The only question is that legacy that you're leaving one that is of the world, or is it one that you built and surrounded through him, one that's not of this world? And that's up to you to get to decide what kind of legacy you live. Because if you're one that's seeking to leave a legacy or just leaving one out of this world, yeah, that's going to be the comfort culture. That's going to be the one that's going to see all these things today being repeated for generations to come. If the high schoolers right now are seeking this, what is the future one going to be? I don't want my son to be raised up to seek the bottom base layer standard that's out there. I want him to push through and want to thrive and look to do the best that he can in things. But that means that we have to set that example as men. And if we're not setting that example, why are they going to push themselves? Like they're not going to have any reason to, right? Because we're not modeling that for them, right? And yeah, like I said, there's just a lot going on right now for men nowadays, and it's just something that the more it became apparent, the more it put a burn in my heart that we need to do something about it. And that's part of the reason why Relentless Pursuit exists, guys, is so that we can get out of this sort of hustle culture that we see right now and really start to work on the root that we talked about, which starts with the identity of who you are in Christ and whose you are, who God says you are, what kind of man God says you are, and how you can live that out on the day to day. Because unfortunately, if you don't, there's a lot of things that it can cost you. And I'll kind of let Ian kind of get in from there because I could talk for hours on this.
But that's good. That's good. That shows your passion, your heart. It
Yeah.
means you are in the right place, bro. Like you are exactly where God wants you to be for this. Because it's so, and I think we can kind of write it off, right? Sometimes as men to be like, well, I'm not doing everything I possibly can, or I'm not meeting this certain standard because I'm just busy. I'm just busy. I got family life. I got, work life. You don't understand. I got kids and everything like that. But really, it's just busy. It's a horrible excuse. I mean, John and I are both licensed. Go ahead.
Sorry, we actually banned that word in our community. So if you come into our community, you're not allowed to say the word busy.
We did 100% because being so
Sorry.
John and I are both licensed health and no, this is a back and forth, bro. We are life and performance coaches as well, which we bring into the group, and it's just it busy irritated us so much. Every single person we talk to, everyone's busy. We get it. That's not a reason to lose your marriage over the fact that you can't be disciplined. It's not an excuse to let your health go or to ignore your children or not work on your faith. It's just not. And speaking of faith, here's my little soapbox I'm going to get into a little bit because you touched on it a little bit, John. I think is the church and where they completely, I think, we think just completely missed the mark when it has come to raising up strong men in this generation. We're not even going to get into the political side of things because we don't touch that here about like churches that don't stand up for the truth in the face of evil. But even growing up in the own church that I told you about during my little story where we ended up leaving because it was a huge split in the church. The Our generation of churches basically just, if you showed up on Sunday with your family and maybe hit a men's meeting now and then, if your church even had it, you were checked off. You were good to go. There was no real follow up. There was no real training a man to be who God has called him to be. There was no, hey, you need to get your butt off your seat and actually go do kingdom work outside of the church. So the church I grew up in, like, you went to church, you had your, groups throughout the week at church. Your first jobs were at the church because they'd hire all the, young kids to come do yard work and blah 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 around the church. Like, your friends were at church, your hangouts were, like, everything was around the church, but they'd sit there and preach about being a light to the world. And it's like, besides the couple missions trips we do a year, obviously that's great. What are you doing locally? What are you doing to train people up to actually, in their day-to-day life, actually do kingdom work, actually defend their faith? And it's just like, it was very, very, very basic. If you got any extra, classes, or if the church put on anything extra at all, it was just really superficial stuff. I'll be nice to each other. I'll steward your finances well. I'll be a good husband, for your wife, and stuff like that. Just make sure you're following what God called you to do. You'll be fine. Did not teach at all about, you need to be disciplined in your health, in your finances, in your spiritual life. You need to take responsibility for everything that goes on in your life right this second and get a hold of it, because if not, the enemy's going to. You need a brotherhood to go through life with, because this lone wolf crap is just not cutting it, because the enemy loves to lie to us guys and be like, yeah, man, hear me roar. I can do this by myself. And it's like, no, that's exactly what he wants you to think. And that's exactly how he gets you. Whether you want to admit it or not, that's exactly how he gets you. Your brotherhood doesn't have to be freaking huge, guys. You just need guys to walk through life with you. And the physical leadership, how to set an example for your wife, for your kids, for those around you. It was so passive, so weak, so just, I hate to say fake, but I mean, honestly, like, you show up, you got a check mark, you're good for a week. See you on Sunday, or, on your teen groups or whatever throughout the week. But Jesus didn't show up on Sundays. Jesus didn't just give a sermon and is like, okay, cool, guys, see you on the next one. He was, he had a mission. He was on mission. He traveled. He spoke to everyone. God forbid we actually go into an atmosphere of sinners, right? Of people we don't agree with their lifestyle, and start witnessing to them instead of outcasting them, right? Jesus went through suffering during his mission on earth. We believe that, like John said, the church today teaches such a passive, comfortable, freaking weak version of manhood that it's just maddening, man. Jesus led decisively. He served with strength, and he suffered for the mission. He didn't lower his standard. He defined the standard. And I feel like just the church waters it down so much. And that is something we do not do in Relentless Pursuit. That is something we talk against, is this weak version of a Christian man. And I know John's fired up and got something ready, so hit us with it.
No, I was just thinking as you were talking about this, it's this overarching idea of biblical masculinity, right? I think that's something that at the heart of it that Ian and I have such a passion for. It's that we have really poured ourselves into what biblical masculinity is supposed to look like, and then we look at what culture and church life today kind of portrays it at. It's 180 degrees backwards. We've lost the true definition of what biblical masculinity truly looks like. Today, it's comfort, it's not action, right? That's something that we look at Jesus, like Jesus didn't lower his standard, like he actually fulfilled it. And I was thinking back, and there's a very popular verse that we all probably know if you've been walking with the Lord for any length of time. And it's one that our good brother Sean quotes all the time. And if you don't know it, it's Luke 9:23. And that for some reason might all of a sudden ring a bell. But if you don't know why it rings a bell, let me read. And he said to all, if anyone come after me, Let him deny himself and take up his cross daily and follow me. For whoever would save his life will lose it, but whoever loses his life for my sake will save it. For what does it profit a man if he gains the whole world and loses or forfeits himself? Guys, our question for you as you're like, I'm reading this. Are you willing to deny yourself and take up your cross to follow Jesus?
Crazy.
Are you willing to do that? Because if you're willing to do that, there's a note in here on this that talks about that means that we are to renounce our selfish ambitions and that we have all right to control our own destiny because it's a death to a whole way of life. And it's calling us into action, you guys. And it's calling us, if you didn't hear that, into we're going to take up our cross daily. This isn't a once a week thing. This is not I became a Christian at 18 and I just kind of coasted through life ever since. This is no. If you want to truly understand what biblical masculinity is, you are dying to yourself each and every day by taking up your cross, the same one that Jesus Christ went to and died on each and every day, and you're living it out. Like, that is biblical masculinity, and that's the thing that we're calling guys into here at the Relentless Pursuit. So, I mean, like, as we talk about sort of who the Relentless Pursuit is, I know we've talked about it a little bit already on this. We've kind of like danced around it a little bit, but if we were to just like break it down for you real quick here, like the core beliefs and like the purpose that we're serving in this ministry, first and foremost, again, is going back to the root, you guys. You're going to hear me say that a lot, and eventually you're going to hate the word root, but I'm sorry, that's what it is that the root of yourself stems from your identity in Christ. And your identity comes before any achievement. Before you can achieve anything, you need to know the identity that Christ is in you. You need to know whose you are, who he says you are, and you need to have belief in that. Okay, and that's something we really help guys do, is to really work on their identity in Christ. Because if that's at the root of it all, and before we can go out and achieve anything, we need to know that piece. Okay, and we also really help guys see that discipline is not a naughty word. Discipline is not a bad word. Discipline is actually a form of worship, because when you are disciplined, you have high standards and you put boundaries around those standards, and you can use those habits and those things and those disciplines as a way to glorify and worship our Lord. I mean, how awesome is that? Okay. And other things that we do, big thing on brotherhood, right? We talk a lot about community. We talk about how having community, having those guys that you can be authentic with and transparent with, actually multiplies your growth as a leader. Okay, like Ian said, this lone wolf stuff is crap. Can you get through life as a lone wolf? Sure, but guess what? You are stunting your growth, plain and simple. Okay, the places you want to go, you will not be able to get to if you decide to do it by yourself. It's just not going to happen. Jesus didn't do it all by himself. No, he went out and he called 12 disciples that he could pour into during his 3 years of ministry on this earth, so that his growth, his mission, his thing multiplied after he was crucified, resurrected, and ascended into heaven. It became through brotherhood, you guys. And the other thing is that our faith is not just something we wear on our shirts. It's not just something we put on our backs. It's not just something we have on our hats, which, by the way, is in the mail and will be here soon. Our faith is not just something we wear. It's something we live. It's something that we do each and every day. So when people have conversations with us, when they see how we act, they know that we are men of God and that we are living it differently than the world does right now for men. Okay? And when we talk about the word relentless just by hearing it should like get you all jazzed up, really, honestly. When you hear the word relentless, what do you think? Okay? And what relentless really means is it's not hustle. Relentless does not mean burnout. It's not ego. No, what it is daily obedience. It's taking up your cross each and every day. It's daily standards. It's the things that you're going to hold yourself to. Hopefully not the bare minimum. It's those high standards that you're going to have. And it's the daily pursuit of who God has called you to be. It's that relentless pursuit of Christ. Okay. And 247, 24/7, because we don't stop. We don't stop pursuing him any time of our lives. And I'm going to turn it back over to you. You're talking about the pillars of sort of the foundation of what we got going on here.
Yeah, so it's getting back to the root of everything, right, guys? That's really what this is all about. So faith is going to be the foundation of everything we do. Everything we do, every coaching we have, every person in the group or that we work with, whatever it is, faith is the foundation of everything we do. Without faith being the foundation, then you are just asking for trouble trying to build anything in any other sort of way, right? We're going to get to this looks a little different for everybody, but we also agree and have been working in our health and wellness industry in this over the past couple of years together. But fitness and health is getting to the root cause of health. We're not just superficial, band-aiding it. When we in Relentless Pursuit work on fitness, we're talking fitness, nutrition, gut health, the whole 9 yards to get to the actual root of issues to help you run cleaner, run smoother, feel better, because we truly believe that the better you steward your physical body, not only does your mind become clearer and more active, you can fulfill your calling just that much more because you are operating at the peak potential. Again, peak potential is different for everybody, but that is an extremely important pillar
And you
of
noticed
Relentless
how
Pursuit.
Ian said the word run a bunch. Running is a very good part of it that Ian truly loves a lot of. I'm just saying, like, we talk about fitness. He talks about running smooth. You're right. Ian loves running. So running is a big part of RP 247. No, I'm just kidding. Now, Ian is our
Running is a big
anti-runner.
part of
Yeah, that's it. Running is a part of John's world, not of Ian's world. That's why when we talk about fitness and stewardship, doesn't matter if you run or not run, we got something for you.
That's it. That's it. I do cardio. I just ain't running. You ain't gonna see me do it. Gosh. And then Brotherhood for number 333. Brotherhood, because it's important. Like we said, lone wolves don't make it far. And they definitely don't reach their full potential. Sorry to say it, but I'll say it again and then again and again. Lone wolfing it does not work. You were not created to go through life alone. That's why God created spouses, and you definitely weren't created to go through life without a brotherhood. Look at the 12 disciples, look at David and his mighty men. It's just not a thing, guys. Whenever I'm pretty sure all the prophets at some point in time also had someone that either went with them or that they taught something along those lines. It's because it's that important. We see a common theme in the Bible. And then leadership. Leadership is the fourth and final pillar. And we're not just talking about the basic surface level leadership of, oh, how to be a good leader, at work or stuff like that. We're talking about extreme ownership, taking leadership in every single thing you say and do in every area of your life, from your marriage to your kids to your work to your personal life thing. It's not about doing more in these areas necessarily. It's just about becoming who you're meant to be. And a lot of times it's little steps taken over time and little steps taken that compound on each other to get those results. So really, you don't have to do this alone, guys. We say all that. Hopefully it has sparked some kind of fire in you, at least some interest to be like, oh, these guys actually might know what they're talking about. At least I'd like to hear them out a little bit. I think we can put the group link in the description below on the YouTube. But here's the thing, man, you don't have to go through this life alone. If you're watching this or if you know someone that is coming to your mind while we've been talking and you're like, this is exactly what I've been telling this guy or that this guy needs, or hey, this is what I need. I've been trying to do this by myself for so long. I'm lost. I'm tired. I have no idea where to go from here. I'm down and out. Guys, brotherhood changes everything. That one simple change alone in your life can just God can use to bless you in so many different ways, and we're already seeing it within the group. Because the standards that we set, that we help you set for yourself, restore confidence in the man that God created you to be. The discipline that we cultivate, that we create with you, that we walk with you through, brings peace, knowing that you are obeying God's calling on your life. So John is going to tell you where you can find us and all that jazz.
Yeah. By the way, we're slowly taking over the internet. So soon you're not going to be able to go to like any page without seeing us somewhere or somehow, shape, or form. But currently, our main hub is on school. So if you want to join our brotherhood, you want to join our community, it's free to join, you guys. It really is. We're over on School. School is an amazing platform. It's similar to Facebook, but it's got a lot of, I think, better features. It allows us to do a lot of other things, I think, that have been really great for guys that have come in. So if you go to School, like Ian said, the link will be in the description, show notes, whatever you want to call it, because this is, a podcast, YouTube channel. I don't know. We're going to send it everywhere. But we would love it if, yes, we have a Facebook group, but the Facebook group basically points you to School. This YouTube channel points you to School. You got to get the picture. It all points you to School. That's where we are. That's where the magic happens. That's where the brothers really come together. That's where the good stuff takes place. But we would love it if you would help us to reach more people, more men, because it's needed, guys. It really is. And by you guys subscribing, liking, commenting these videos, it helps us put these videos in front of more eyeballs, and hopefully more men will see this. And guys that, have been praying like I was 6 years ago for that new direction, that those guys that I didn't know I needed, that were stationed in Nevada and Orlando, Florida, and in Ohio and in Tennessee, that if you had told me at that time in my life when I was really searching that those were the men that were going to carry my casket, that I'd have been like, are you kidding me right now? But seriously, help us out here, subscribe to the channel, help us commit to this process. If you've been sparked by any of this, if you feel similar in all this, that men today need to take more action, help commit to that with us. And like Ian said, share it with somebody. If you know somebody that needs this, somebody that could just really use some solid brotherhood, some better standards, just wanting to grow in their own leadership, send it to them, because that would be really, really amazing to help this thing go. The question really isn't about whether you're capable, guys. The question is really whether you're willing to pursue Christ, pursue it relentlessly, because you're all capable. I'm going to tell you that right now. You all don't lack a lot of things. What it is just, are you willing to go after it? Are you willing to do the work and actually pursue Christ and everything he has for you with this relentless intent? So that's what I got, Ian. I don't know if you got anything else before we sign off tonight. I've enjoyed this. This is fun.
Yeah. Yeah. Hopefully you guys just enjoyed getting to know us a little better and get to know the heart behind Relentless Pursuit and where it kind of came from. Because really the heart behind this ministry, guys, is that we just want this to be like a training ground of leaders that are just so aggressively pursuing Christ, so aggressively advancing his kingdom, not scared of the world, not sitting on the sidelines, not just showing up to check off a box, but we really pray and know that can use this ministry, this group, to really change the way the Christian man is seen, to really make a stand against the darkness in this world, to really, really, really push back the enemy as it is just infiltrating every area of our lives, and really make a stand and make a difference in this world, and to help train up those men. And not only that, we want it to be a leadership training to where, in turn, as we train and lead up and bring up those leaders through our mentorship programs and coaching and stuff like that, and the brotherhood, we also give you the tools and stuff necessary to then turn around and do the same with the men in your lives, to bring them in, to train them up, and just repeat that cycle, because that's how we bring the strong Christian man back. So with that, we appreciate you guys. We are going to be dumping out these some videos pretty regularly for you guys. It's going to be different content than it is in the group. So like John said, we do appreciate any subscribing that you guys could do and sharing, because the content's going to be different. That's going to be good. And look forward to seeing you on the school group, because that's where all the meat and potatoes is. And I love me some meat and potatoes. That's what I got. That was weird.
It's a great way to end. I think we end with meat and potatoes.
It's
all
meat
right,
and
guys.
Potatoes time, fellas.
Yeah, about to say, if you can't tell, it is past 10 o'clock at night here for us. And apparently Ian is craving meat and potatoes. So with that,
I'm running on 2 hours of sleep. Yes, I am.
All right, cool. You guys have an amazing night. We'll catch you on the next one.